Hello everyone! This is Miss Sarah with Delta County Libraries. Thank you so much for joining us today for another virtual story time. This summer, we are reading a story from a different part of the world each week. Some of the stories you may have heard before, some of them may be new to you, but either way, I hope you'll enjoy them. If you're ready for a story, go ahead and grab your seat and sing along. Everybody take a seat, take a seat, take a seat. Everybody take a seat on your chair. Not on the wall, not on the stairs. Everybody take a seat on your chair. Or if you're sitting on the floor, everybody take a seat, take a seat, take a seat. Everybody take a seat on the floor. Not on the wall, not on the door. Everybody take a seat on the floor. All right, very good. I'm going to go ahead and move our camera so you guys can see our story a little better. This story comes to us from Germany, and you may have heard of it before. This story is called The Elves and the Shoemaker. Once upon a time, there lived a shoemaker and his wife. The shoemaker was very talented, and he made some of the most beautiful shoes you'd ever seen. But one day, he fell upon hard times, and he didn't have very much money. He didn't have very much food, and he was running out of the supplies he needed to make more shoes. So, one day he pulled out the last piece of leather he had, and he shaped it and got it ready to make a pair of shoes in the morning. This would be the last pair of shoes that he could afford to make. Here is the piece of leather that he pulled out. What shape is that? It's a square. Very good. Now the shoemaker and his wife went to bed that evening, and in the morning when he got up, he was ready to go make his pair of shoes. But instead, he found, instead of the piece of leather waiting for him to make, there was a nice pair of boots already made. Who could have done it? He didn't know. But he sold that pair of shoes very quickly, and he bought some more supplies to make another pair of shoes. That night, before he went to bed, he laid out the leather all cut and ready to make another pair of shoes, and he went off to bed. What shape of leather did he put out? He put out a triangle. Very good. What color is that triangle? It's red. Well, the shoemaker and his wife went to bed, and in the morning when he woke up, instead of a red triangle of leather, he found a beautiful pair of red shoes. Oh, and he sold those shoes very quickly, and he bought enough leather to make another pair of shoes. Oh, and the shoemaker was so grateful. These shoes that kept appearing in the morning were beautiful, and people were eager to buy them. He was able to buy lots of food, and he was growing very rich. He was so grateful. Well, the next night he went to bed, and he laid out another piece of leather ready for another pair of shoes. What shape did he lay out? He put out a circle. Very good. Well, he went to bed, and in the morning, instead of a pink circle, he found a beautiful pair of shoes. Look at those cute little pink shoes. Well, the shoemaker was oh so grateful, and so he decided he wanted to stay up late and see who was making these beautiful shoes. So he put out a piece of leather. What shape leather did he put out? It's a star. Very good. And that evening, the shoemaker and his wife, they hid behind a curtain and waited and waited and waited, eager to see who was coming to make the shoes. Well, they almost fell asleep, but they stayed up late enough to see. Let's see. There they are. Two little elves. And those little elves, they took that purple star of leather and they turned it into the most beautiful pair of shoes. Oh, and the shoemaker was selling lots of shoes. He was earning lots of money, and he was able to buy lots of food to support his family. And he was so thankful to the elves who had helped them. His wife, who was very kind, noticed that the elves, the clothes they were wearing were very raggedy. They had lots of holes, and they barely covered their bodies. And so she decided, as a thank you, she would sew them each a nice new outfit as a thank you for all the help that they had done for the shoemaker and his wife. So the next night, rather than putting out a piece of leather with shoes, the wife of the shoemaker put out two little outfits for the elves as a thank you. And the shoemaker and his wife went off to bed. And when the elves came by, oh, they were so thankful. They saw the beautiful new outfits, and they were warm and comfortable. The shoemaker's wife was very talented and made very nice clothes, and it covered their bodies and kept them warm. And the little elves were ever so thankful, and they went on their way, and the shoemaker and his wife never forgot the kindness that the elves had paid them. The end. Thank you for joining us for Storytime this week. I hope you enjoyed our story from Germany, and I hope you'll join us next week for another story from a different part of the world. If you haven't signed up for our summer reading program yet, you can do so online. Our website is deltalibraries.org. And if you keep track of how much you read or listen to stories or do other early literacy activities, you can win prizes like books or a free t-shirt. So I hope you'll participate this summer, and I hope you enjoy reading. See you next week. Take care.